Crafting in Guild Wars 2 can be useful to do while leveling up, but even more importantly, crafting leads to ascended and eventually legendary items, one of Guild Wars 2's pinnacle objectives. But its discovery-based crafting system can be a bit odd to jump into, and approaching it like a traditional crafting system where you spam items out isn't the most effective. Alright, so you're pumped up to craft backpacks and sharp, shiny, pointy objects, but we need to get you pointed in the right direction to learn these disciplines. Let's start with where and then what to learn. You can technically get crafting disciplines as soon as you're out of the tutorial, but the game will tell you that you've unlocked it at level 12. Each starter zone has a small town like Claypool in Queensdale where there are crafting teachers and vendors. They also exist in all major cities. Once there, you can learn 2 of 8 basic crafting disciplines by default. The 9th, Scribe, is an oddball, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I divide these disciplines into 3 groups: armor crafting, weapon crafting, and miscellaneous. Armor crafting contains armorsmith, leatherworker, and tailor. They craft heavy, medium, and light armor respectively. They also each can make bags for bag slots and runes to go into upgrade slots on armor. The weapon crafting disciplines are weaponsmith, huntsman, and artificer. Weaponsmith makes your melee weapons and shields. Huntsman creates projectile weapons primarily, as well as torches and war horns. And then Artificer creates your magical weapons like staves and scepters. Artificers can also create unique potions for buffs, but all weapon crafting disciplines can craft sigils for weapon upgrade slots and their own unique utility item to buff your character. The miscellaneous category is jeweler, chef, and scribe. Jewelers will craft your accessory items on the right-hand side of your equipment panel, as well as upgrade components to place into trinkets of exotic or lower quality. Chefs craft food that can give you temporary buffs, similar to the utility items from weapon crafters, but food and utilities can both be active at the same time. And finally, Scribe is learned and practiced in guild halls and is really only for decoration crafting, so it's not going to be covered in this guide. Alright, so we've got our disciplines. Let's actually explain this crafting system now. First, I'll explain the experience system and all the little details on the panel itself, and then we'll go into the more complicated discovery system, which is the big key to leveling up, typically providing you with double the XP as crafting normally. After that, I've got some tips for you. Near the crafters are crafting stations where you can go to do the actual deed of crafting. Let's break down this panel piece by piece so you don't miss any features. This first tab here is the production tab. This is where you do the bulk of your crafting and can see all the recipes you know for this discipline. Many are automatically given to you as you level up for basic crafting and refining. No need to go pester Jeff over there to teach you how to make an iron ingot, then a shiny iron ingot, like many games. At the top center of this screen, you'll see your level and the XP to next level. It starts at 0 and shows the top end of the tier of crafting you are in, which the first tier is up to 75. There's 7 total tiers. 0 to 74 is Novice, 75 to 149 is Initiate, 150 to 224 is Apprentice, 225 to 299 is Journeyman, 300 to 399 is Adept, 400 to 499 is Master, and 500 is Grandmaster. Each basic discipline goes up to 500 except for Jeweler, which caps at 400. Chef is also a little bit different while leveling, as once you hit 450, you'll have to go on a quest of sorts to get the last 50 levels, and you'll also unlock a home instance garden for yourself as well. Scribe also only goes to 400. As you level your profession, the recipe's text will change color. Orange means you're close to the item's level and will always gain experience when making it. As you get further away from the ideal level to craft that, it will turn yellow, green, blue, white, and then finally gray. Each step down indicates earning less and less XP per craft, and at gray, you're never gaining XP at all. There is also red, which means you can't craft it yet, but you will be able to once you hit that level. Clicking on any recipe shows the items needed to craft it, and you'll want to hover over and see this because some items are purchased from crafting vendors, though overall, most are not. For example, this crafter's backpack frame is something that I need to buy. If it's an ingredient you need to craft and you have the recipe, a magnifying glass will appear on this screen and you can click it to go straight to that and craft it quickly. You can follow this process multiple times for complicated items. Then you can click back through to your earlier items. No need to fumble around with the full recipe list on the left. When crafting multiple items, it will gradually speed up to a certain degree with each repetition, which is great for mass processing of materials. There's also a search bar here, and this cogwheel applies filters to the recipe list here. On the left are several more tabs. This is your bank, so if you make any items for your alts or just for later, you can drop it in the bank here. You can also check your material storage here, which is where your materials you gather and then send away with the magical deposit all materials button in your inventory screen go to. You can also use this wardrobe tab here to look at essentially every cosmetic item in the game, or if you're me, weep uncontrollably at how little completion I've actually got done. The topmost tab here is your discovery tab. This is where the big experience for leveling up is earned. Many recipes in Guild Wars 2 need to be discovered, not purchased from a vendor. On the left here is listed every item you have in your bank, material storage, or your current character's inventory. Anything in red cannot be added due to your rating it being lower than the required rating to utilize that item. When you double click or drag an item over here, it will tell you how many recipes are possibly left to discover for your character with that one ingredient. It will also gray out any ingredients that cannot combine with this item. Simply continue adding items that you can add until it shows you that you can craft the item. And I want to show you all a real example of what discovering will look like. So when you get in here, you can see, for example, I can make a mighty bronze simple greatsword with a vial of blood and then a greatsword blade and hilt. But I also know from experience that I can use inscriptions and combine those with components in the discovery tab so that I can level up even faster. So we're going to start off by making 2 green wooden dowels, and then I'm going to craft 2 vital green inscriptions. We'll decide. And so for a hammer, we need a hammer head and a large green haft. And then for a greatsword, it's been a while, so I need a bronze greatsword blade, so we'll go craft that. And then we can go craft our bronze greatsword hilt. Whoops, forgot to hit craft. And then once these are done, we're going to go to our discovery tab. You can see many components that I've crafted during this process are all appearing at the top here, as are some down there. So we're going to start with our vital green inscription, and you can see 8 possible unknown recipes. That's more or less just going to be all of the items in this tier, the weapons. So we'll start by throwing the hammerhead in there, and then we can see used to craft hammers and spears, large green haft. Go ahead and craft that. Required rating is 0. And then we get 542 and then plus 542 experience. So we got double experience for discovering that. And let's see what we get for the greatsword here, which is also the same level, 503 plus 753. So our experience is slightly randomized, but as you can see, double or more the experience for discovering, meaning discovery is typically your biggest bang for your buck, not just sitting down and mass crafting like most games. That being said, many high-level recipes or some oddball ones will still need to be purchased, especially in later content expansions, so keep an eye out at karma vendors and other currency vendors as you play. You can absolutely level up your crafting yourself this way. Most of us did back in the day with brute force when the game first came out. But if you want a much more streamlined approach, you can use a website like guildwars2crafts.net that has guides on leveling up each discipline in different ways, and you can even feed it an API key from your ArenaNet account's application tab so it can pull the inventories and unlocks and figure out the perfect path for you. Another big tip is what to do with gear that you've crafted. You can purchase from the Master Crafter's research kits, and I would typically recommend using these. While salvaging gear will return some materials and salvageable goods are earned through just about everything in Guild Wars 2. Research notes, however, can only ever come from player-crafted items and are needed for many endgame items since End of Dragons. There is even a checkbox in the crafting menu to automatically turn these items that you're crafting into research notes, which is fantastic. But only check that box if you are absolutely sure that you don't need or want that item for anything else. Crafting in Guild Wars 2 isn't just for gear that you're going to toss in a week. It's a long-term move, but there's plenty more out there to learn. And you can click right here to check out some amazing quick tips for beginners looking to learn more in Guild Wars 2. Thanks for watching, fellow heroes, and I'll see you on the next page of the Heroes Codex.